The three orcs came out of the bracken with no sound at all, and Halja Brenmark, on her knees over a half-finished plane table, had the surveyor's chain in her hand before she had time to be afraid. She set the chain down slowly. She set her brass alidade down slowly. She lifted her hands away from both, palms open, and she said in the orc tongue her grandmother had taught her in the borderlands, "I am a map maker. My tools are on the table. My knife is on my hip. I will not reach for it." The largest of them, a captain by the iron at her collar, broad-faced and gray-tusked, a bow across her back, and a long curved blade at her thigh, came forward through the wet ferns and looked at the plane table, at the strung chain, at the careful pencil marks Halja had been laying down for 3 weeks on the slope above the Green Fork. Then she looked at Halja's green-tinged skin under the road dust, at the small tusks at the corners of her mouth, at the road jacket and the long braid and the muddy boots. "You are half a daughter of the people," the captain said, "and you are drawing our country for a man in Eastergate." It was not a question. Halja did not insult her by treating it as one. "I was," she said. "Yes." The captain crouched across the plane table from her. She did not touch the work. She read it, the lines, the legend, the numbered marks, where Halja had paced the slopes since the first day of spring. She read it the way Halja's grandmother had read maps, finger above the paper, never on it. After a long moment she looked up. "Who sent you?" she said. "And what did he want you to find?" "There was no point at all in lying. His name is Calveth Rowan," she said. "Merchant prince of the river. He is putting a road through this country in 2 years. He hired me to find the easiest line for wagons, where the slopes are gentlest, where the rivers run shallow, where the trapping grounds are richest. He told me your clan would not notice a single mapmaker on the ridge." The captain looked at her a long, level moment. "What is your name, daughter of half a people?" "Halja Brenmark. My mother was a smith out of Kelhollow. My grandmother was Brenna Tuskmark, of the Green Fork people. I have not crossed the river since I was 9. The second orc, a younger one, lean and watchful, with a scar through his eyebrow, shifted his weight, and Halja saw him register the name. "My name is Marig Ironwillow," the captain said. "I command the border watch of the Green Fork. The man behind me with the broken eyebrow is my second, Dressed. The man with the bow is my brother's son, Koloon. We have been watching you for 19 days. She tilted her head toward the plane table. "Stand up, Halja Brenmark of 2 peoples. Bring your tools. We will go to my camp, and you will tell my elders what you have just told me, and then we will decide what to do with you." Halja stood. Her knees did not feel like her own. She rolled the paper, slid the alidade into its leather, hung the chain over her shoulder. Marig watched her pack with the same attention she had given the map. "Your knife," Marig said. Halja unbuckled her belt and held the knife out by its scabbard. Marig shook her head. "Keep it. A daughter of the people who cannot keep a knife is not a daughter at all. I only wanted to see whether you would offer." They walked her 2 miles north along a deer trail she had not noticed in 19 days of surveying. The camp sat under a leaning ridge of basalt, hidden so well that Halja, paid 3 months to see this country, had walked within a mile of it twice. 20 hide tents, a long fire, shaggy mountain ponies in a brushwood pen, the smell of drying meat and pine tar. The elders sat on 3 log benches at the fire. Marig sat Halja on a stump across from them. She let Halja tell it. Halja told it again. She did not soften it. Rowan's plan, the wages, the bonus on delivery. She told them what her grandmother had taught her about reading a slope, and that her grandmother had died in the Second War. The eldest of the 3, a small woman with a tusk broken short and eyes like wet slate, said only, "You have been honest. We thank you for it. Now go to the tent at the end and rest, daughter." "We will speak." Halja sat in the tent. She could hear the elders' voices outside, low and even, never raised. She could hear Marig's voice among them, brief, deferring. She did not understand all the old words. She understood enough, After 2 hours, Mareg lifted the flap of the tent and sat down across from her on the rolled hide. They have decided 3 things, Mareg said. First, you will not finish the map you were drawing. That map will not leave this ridge. Second, you will not die. We have not killed a daughter of the people on this border in 111 years, and we will not begin tonight with one whose grandmother carried the watchbow on the south wall. Third, she looked at Halja straight on. The third was mine to ask, and they let me ask it. So I will ask it to your face, and you will think before you answer. Halja waited. Draw us true, Marek said, or don't draw us at all. The merchant's road will come, whether you map it or not. Some other surveyor will be hired, not a daughter of our people, and he will not show us the line before he sells it. You have seen our country with honest eyes for 3 weeks. You speak our tongue. You know what a slope means and what a river means. We are asking you to stay, to map this border for us, for the clans of the Green Fork, so that when the merchant's men come to draw their treaty, we have a map of our own and not only theirs. We will feed you. We will house you. We will pay you in what we have, pelts and worked iron and the standing of a guest. And when the work is done, we will walk you to the south road ourselves, and not one stone will fall on your head between here and Eastergate. Think before you answer. Ridi, Halja thought. She thought about Calveth Rowan, who had called her more than once, my little half-blood, the way a man calls a hunting dog. About the bonus on delivery, and her mother's smithy in Kell Hollow, where her mother was old now and would be cold without it. Then she thought about her grandmother, who had taught her to draw a slope by feeling it under her boots first. I will need, Halja said, good paper. I will need a second Alididae. Mine is brass, and it will not last the year. I will need a guide who knows the high country, because I cannot pace ground I cannot reach. I will need an honest word from your elders, that the map I draw stays with you and is shown to the merchant only at your hand. And she met Mareg's eyes. I will need to send a letter to my mother in Kellhollow by a courier who can be trusted, telling her I am alive, but will not come home until the long thaw. She is the only thing I am leaving. Mareg smiled then for the first time. It was a slow, careful smile, the way a person smiles who has been waiting for an answer and gotten the right one. You will have the paper. The second Alidade. Dressed is a smith, a guide. The elders will swear the word in the morning, and the letter will go to your mother by the next courier south. In my own hand, if you would like. The thinking is what we wanted, and you have done it. She stood. At the tent flap, she stopped. I will be the guide, if you will have me. I know the high country better than any man on this ridge, and the elders have asked me to keep you safe until the work is done. If you would rather another, say so now. Halja looked up. Mareg's face was a captain's face, level, asking. But her eyes were a different face. They were the eyes of a woman who had walked 19 days in the bracken to watch a stranger draw lines on paper, and who had decided somewhere in those 19 days that the stranger was worth the watching. I would have you, Halja said. They began the next morning. Mareg walked her up the back of the ridge before dawn and showed her the country from the high cairns, the long fall of the Green Fork Valley, the river bending east under its mist, the 3 lakes the merchant's surveyors had been told did not exist, the meadow where her people's summer camp had stood for 6 generations. Halja paced and wrote and sketched. Mareg carried her chain, and dressed brought her a new Alidade by the end of the first week, the brass true and the level set with a steady hand. The days fell into a shape. Halja and Mareg left the camp before light, walked a section of the border together, ate cold bread and dried venison on whatever ridge gave the best sightlines, walked back at dusk. In the tent at night, Halja worked the day's notes into the master sheet by the long fire, and Mareg sat across the fire with her bow across her knees and her chin on her fist, and she watched. And sometimes she asked a question about a line, and Halja answered. And sometimes neither of them spoke for an hour at a time, and the silence was the warm kind that 2 people who have walked all day together can hold without strain. In the third week, Marek told Halja about her husband, who had died in the Second War on the South Wall, the same wall Halja's grandmother had stood. They had been married 4 years. He had been a quiet man, she said, a horse trainer, and he had laughed easily. She did not weep when she said it. She had wept it out years ago. But she let Halja hear the way the word times husband times still sat in her mouth, careful, like a stone she had carried for a long way. In the 5th week, Halja told Mareg about Calveth Rowan, about times my little half-blood, about the bonus, and about her mother, and about the way Halja had taken the job because she had needed to believe a man like Rowan could see her as a craftswoman and not a curiosity. Mareg listened. She did not interrupt. When Halja was done, Mareg said only, "He was a fool to call you that. The country knows what you are. The country has known since you crossed the river." In the 7th week, her mother's letter came south through the camp in her mother's spidery hand. "Stay, as long as the work is worth. I am proud of you. Send word at the thaw." Halja read it 3 times. Mareg waited, then said only, "Good?" And Halja said, "Good." And Mareg nodded and went back to oiling her bowstring. In the 9th week, they were caught in a storm on the high meadow and made it back to camp 2 hours after dark, soaked to the skin and stumbling. And Halja, exhausted in the tent over a cup of cooling broth, found that her hand was on Mareg's wrist and had been for some time, and that Mareg's hand had turned palm up to meet it. Neither of them spoke. Halja's heart hit her ribs once, hard. Mareg's thumb moved once across the back of Halja's hand, gentle, asking. Halja did not move her hand away. After a while, Mareg said, very low, "The country has known about this too. For a while now. Country, for a while now." "I know," Halja said. "It will be slow," Mareg said. "I am too old to do this fast, and you have not finished the map, and a captain does not bring confusion into her own camp. You will tell me when you are ready, daughter, and not before." "I will tell you," Halja said. Mareg lifted Halja's hand and turned it and pressed her mouth, once to the inside of Halja's wrist, the way her people sealed an oath at the long fire. Then she set the hand down and stood and went out to walk the camp's watch. Halja sat in the tent, with the broth going cold, and the inside of her wrist burning, and the master sheet of the border map spread across her knees. And she understood for the first time what it had cost her grandmother to walk away from this country when she was young, and what it would cost her not to walk away from it now. She drew for the rest of the autumn and into the first snow. She drew the disputed border honest. She drew the 3 lakes, and the summer camp meadow, and the trapping grounds, and the gentle slopes, and the cruel ones. She drew the Green Fork people's 7 cairns at their old places, and not at the places the merchant's old map had moved them to. She labeled every name in both tongues. She put her grandmother's bone curl mark in the bottom right corner, under her own name, the way her grandmother had marked her own work, and she wrote at the bottom of the legend, in clean common, "Drawn for the clans of the Green Fork, by Halja Brenmark, daughter of 2 peoples, in the year of the 7 cairns kept." The elders looked at the finished map, at the first long fire of winter. The eldest, the small woman with the broken tusk, traced the legend with her finger above the paper and said only, "The thinking has been done. We thank you, daughter." In the spring, when the south road opened, Mareg walked Halja down to Eastergate at the head of an escort of 6. Calveth Rowan met them in his counting house, with his face white at the sight of them. Halja set on his desk the map he had paid her to draw the dishonest one, the one with the easy line and the rich trapping ground, and beside it she set the true one, the one with the 7 cairns and the summer meadow and the 2 tongues in the legend. And she said, "You will use this one, or you will use none. The clans of the Green Fork are the keepers of this map, and I am the keeper of it for them. Your road will come where they say it comes, and at the price they say, or it will not come at all." Rowan looked at the 2 maps for a long minute. "He did not call her times my little half-blood," he said, in a voice he had not used with her before. "Mistress Brenmark, what is your fee?" She told him. She told him the fee Mareg's elders had set. The road moved a mile east. The 3 lakes left alone, the trapping ground left to its people, and an annual tribute paid to the Green Fork Hall in iron and seed. He paid. She watched him sign with his own hand, and Mareg watched beside her, and Drest watched at her shoulder, and Kolun watched at the door. She did not go back to her mother's smithy in Kel Hollow that summer. Her mother came south to her instead by Mareg's escort and lived with them through the long thaw in the new house. Drest had built her at the foot of the basalt, a low house with a north light window for the workroom and a hearth wide enough to hold 2 cups in the evening. Halja's mother walked the meadow with Mareg's elders, and they liked her. She liked them. She liked Mareg. On the night of the harvest moon, after her mother had gone to bed and the camp was quiet, Halja sat down across from Mareg at the long fire and said, "I am ready." Mareg set her bow aside. She came around the fire. She lifted Halja's hand and turned it the way she had turned it in the tent in the 9th week, and she pressed her mouth, once, to the inside of Halja's wrist, the way her people sealed an oath. Then she lifted Halja's chin with her green thumb and bent her gray-tusked head and kissed her. Once, on the mouth, warm and slow and unhurried, the way a captain kisses a daughter of 2 peoples she has waited a year to be ready. She had been hired to draw the country for an unworthy reason. She had finished the drawing for a worthy one. She had set out to walk a stranger's land and had come, by the long way, into her grandmother's country and her own. The map of the Green Fork hung at the elders' long fire all that winter, drawn honest in 2 tongues, and the cartographer who had drawn it slept warm under the basalt ridge, beside the captain who had walked her every mile of it. And the road from Eastergate came where the Green Fork people said it would, and not 1 stone fell on a single cairn.